There was much anticipation for Naoya Inoue versus Stephen Fulton in the summer of 2023. Inoue, a 3-weight world champion, had just become undisputed at 118 pounds, and he was now seeking a new challenge, moving up in weight and facing the #1 rated fighter in the division, cool boy Stephen Fulton, as he aimed to take away 2 of his belts. Before the fight, many felt his style could pose problems to the monster, due to Fulton's slick style and Philly background and proven toughness and success thus far. Despite the question marks, Inoue arguably put on his best performance to date. In today's breakdown, I'm going to take a look at some of the tactics, techniques the monster used to completely outbox and set up Stephen Fulton to become a unified champion. So on that note, let's get right into it. The first point I want to make about Inoue is that he purposely went into that first round looking to set up and establish that tremendous jab to the body. This is a very good punch to throw when both fighters are a bit more tentative to start off the first round. In the case of this fight, it helped establish the range for Inoue, while helping manage the distance to set up other punches. While there's also a very big target area, and it helps to keep his head off the center line when attacking, keeping him further away from Fulton's counter with the right hand. The body jab was also helped by the fact he stepped in with the punch and threw it with speed and power.
There's a way. As well, you've seen that a few times. The way is quick to cut him.
This is very similar to the way Gennady Golovkin pushes off from the back foot when throwing to generate power, something Inoue does very often when throwing this punch.
And two-handed.
Before quickly returning out of range, and of course, this was something we saw him use throughout the whole fight. We've seen many great fighters over the years have much success with this body jab, including the likes of Floyd Mayweather and Andre Ward for example.
Guys are not ready for the jab to the stomach. I can look a guy right here, boom, hit him in the stomach. That's a body shot, but it's at long range. I don't have to be in close and be susceptible to short shots myself. I can be long range the first 2 rounds, boom, give me that air. Steal air from them. Boom, it's stabbing them in their gut. That's also slowly breaking them down.
I love that.
Some other reasons why it helps is that it chips away at the fighters you're facing, while it can also highlight the tendencies of how your opponents react to things like feints. For example, do they stand their ground? Do they take a step back? Does the guard drop? Do they have to reset again? Unfortunately for Fulton in this fight, he really did struggle with this for the most part, as he was caught between a rock and a hard place in terms of what he should defend, as he opted for a higher guard to try and block the right hand from Inoue with his left. However, this would lead to the body jab openings. And although at times he would have success blocking this punch early, this is of course championship boxing over 12 rounds. Fatigue and being punched with 8 to 10 ounce gloves over 7 rounds is going to make you second guess a punch or defend a punch that is going to do damage. And of course, this was the case for Inoue finally landing that devastating right hand, as Fulton dropped his lead hand just enough to try and prioritise blocking that jab to the body, which had been landing so successfully. Another thing to mention was Inoue had only been throwing the right hand after the body jab a handful of times throughout the fight, but the monster showed his ring IQ and patience to wait for the right moment to strike. I also love the consistency of Inoue throwing this punch to create and land the jab upstairs at times, while he would also throw it as a vertical jab to split through the higher guard.
Good jab. Very solid jab from Inoue. There's that up vertical jab again.
He would also throw up jabs from a lower position out of Fulton's direct vision, while also doubling up from head to body and vice versa.
I'm telling you right now, Inoue's making this fight look easy right now.
Or to even set up his occasional right hand or combinations to set up his hooks to the body for example.
He tried to come forward, but he's not letting his hands go. He's afraid for what's going to come back, so now use your legs.
Good combination from Inoue. More blood coming from the nose.
As the good old saying goes,
this time around, the right hand will take you around the block, the jab will take you around the world.
Fulton though would try to counter Naoya's body jab with his own right hand, but the monster, being the intelligent fighter that he is, countered him with a left hook after landing his body jab. while moving out the way. And this is a move Inoue has been using for a while now to counter right hands with his own hooks, while it's another way for him to deter fighters from throwing the right hand when he uses this technique. Overall, Naoya's use of the jab, and the body jab in particular, is very hard to defend against as a whole, especially when a fighter with tremendous timing and athleticism is able to get out of range so quickly. But throwing the body jab in general is something you have to be careful with. A bad example of a fighter doing this was Errol Spence when he faced Terence Crawford. Spence, unlike Inoue, didn't throw with enough authority, lunging whilst putting too much weight on the front foot, overreaching to land the punch, creating a lack of balance to get out of danger in time, giving Crawford the perfect opportunity to counter him with a reverse 2-1 combo. You reach, they teach, as they say. The monster though is a much better example to watch for this technique, as he's usually defensively responsible when throwing, whilst throwing at the right timing. Personally, I think in many years to come, this will be a fight to go back and study the importance of using the lead hand in various ways, especially to set up the body jab, not only as a single direct attack, but also to set up other punches. Now defensively, I felt once again Naoya looked very composed and comfortable. Overall, his stance and footwork are quite bladed, and the weight distribution between both feet is more balanced than Fulton's, who puts more weight on the back foot in a wider stance, who prepares himself to counter back or box on the back foot. But overall, the fundamental approach from Inoue on the other hand gives him the opportunity to slip out of range from Fulton's punches. It's a game of inches after all. Now ironically, Inoue used the lower lead hand and got behind his lead shoulder at times against the Philly fighter in Fulton, and even at times would look to parry away Fulton's jab with the right hand while taking slight steps back, something that very much reminded me of Philly Shell Master in George Benton. Now another area I felt just helped create hesitation in Fulton was the way Inoue was constantly feinting and changing his guard positioning and using level changes to give different looks, continually moving his head off the centre line as well, never really giving Fulton any chance to hit him cleanly with his own single attacks, while even sometimes putting his head on the centre line before quickly moving it out, never really giving Fulton any chance to hit cleanly with his own single attacks. Now obviously no one is perfect, everyone gets hit eventually in boxing, and Fulton would land the occasional right hand, but it wasn't as impactful as he was moving back when taking these punches. While when he did commit with the right hand, such as to the body, he would roll the left hook and get out of distance, which just shows you how the fundamentals are still in place with him. Nevertheless, as much as the monster is fantastic offensively, I really do feel this was the fight where we saw an improved and different defensive side to his game, once again proving he's more than just a big power puncher. The last point I want to make about this fight was the way the monster was able to apply pressure and cut off the ring. It really reminds me of the likes of a prime Golovkin or Chavez at times. The way he's just so patient in his approach, he never rushes in to land a punch. Instead, he usually bides his time till Fulton usually puts himself in a corner position, before quickly attacking with the jab to set up a quick burst combination. And as you can see, it was with speed and power when he would unleash these combinations, occasionally landing pretty clean and shaking Fulton at times.
Another right hand from Inoue backs up Fulton.
Heavy. Fulton is not using any of his footwork. He's not using any of his lateral movement at all. And you want to know why? Because Inoue has stopped that. Inoue is quick to cut him off and says, I want you directly in front of me. I don't want you moving anywhere.
Now, the issue I had with Fulton in this fight was when he was boxing like this, there was simply no threat of him using the lead hand or counterpunching. And whether it was because he felt the power of the monster and was worried about opening himself up, only he will know. Over the rounds, you could tell Inoue knew he could bide his time from a longer to mid-range, making sure to cut off the ring by moving laterally left or right, until Fulton was in the transition of moving into that corner position in the ring, as I mentioned. And even if the punches were not connecting cleanly on Fulton, it was still managing to push him back and create further hesitation. And because of this, The monster was then able to take his foot off the gas at times, as this would lead Fulton to try establish a bit of authority in the center ring himself. But if anything, I feel this actually put Inoue in a more comfortable position to counterpunch or, once again, set up that body jab, forcing Fulton to try reset himself or drop his guard.
Wide. It's really hard to get in and out.
Oh, right hand hurts him. Oh, a huge right hand from the monster.
Well, you have to applaud that immediate reaction from Naoya to lunge in with the leaping hook, giving Fulton no chance to recover or to defend himself. And after getting the initial knockdown, he went for the final kill.
On the attack, trying to claim 2 more belts as Fulton tried to grab the ropes, backed up into the corner. Here comes Inoue. That destructive, decisive power does it again. The monster, a 4-division world champion, stamping in Tokyo.
Overall, I really feel this was a brilliant and complete performance from the monster. In no way do I think he's the perfect fighter. There are some gaps fighters I think can exploit later down the line, but right in this moment in time, I think this fight highlighted just how good he is. I'd also like to say Fulton, in my opinion, is a very good fighter. I personally thought we would see much more of him in this fight, but at the end of the day, Inoue's ring IQ, speed, power, athleticism are just on another level. Hopefully we can see more performances like this in the future to come. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this fight. What was your favourite part about Inoue in this performance? If you want more content like this, why not check out one of these breakdowns? As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.